Nerds and nerdettes, welcome to the Show Boys podcast. Good evening. We're so glad you could join us. I'm your host, Pixel Nick, and joined with me is my lovely co-host with the fabulous hair, Chadwick the Third.
Yeah, I got
Chadwick.
crazy hair going on tonight, huh?
Oh no, it's
Really,
got a
really
nice.
vibing with that Italian look, huh?
Yeah, it's got a
Oh,
little Jimmy
oh,
Neutron. Yeah,
yeah,
or that. Yeah, that
yeah.
angle there. You definitely got the.
Oh, Jimmy Neutron. Dang,
Yeah.
bro, that was low. I get that a lot when my hair grows out. I get the Jimmy Neutron comment a lot at work.
He's gotta hit him with the Italian,
Yeah.
head nod lean,
Oh.
and yeah. That gets it. That gets rid of the Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Jimmy Neutron's good. Nothing wrong with that. Dad, how are you down the corner?
I'm good. I'm just staying in my space,
Yeah. Appreciate you being here.
It's good to be
on
here.
screen tonight.
Yes, sir.
Didn't want you to not be on screen because
I'm basically not really on screen.
He's like halfway.
I mean, I'm
he's
like
halfway in between.
you check the box for audio to be heard to the listeners.
Yeah. That's
the box you check.
That's what I live for. Yes.
Yep. And plus you're going to help Chad with a topic this evening.
Okay. Yes.
But before we get going, do want to thank our top tier patrons, Yusuf H, Joe, and Bim. Y'all rock.
Yes.
Keep it up. And rest of the patrons, you guys are also awesome. Mostly Chad's family. You guys are great.
Got to get them Brady episodes, you know what I mean?
Got to get those Brady episodes. Top tier stuff right there. And if you are interested in Patreon, head over to our Patreon, Showboys Podcast, and sign on up. Got a couple tiers there. And I think the biggest pull is the Brady Chad, the Chad family, the Chadwick
Brady episodes
family
are the pull currently.
Yeah.
Which I'm about to add Roman to here.
Ooh,
probably
I know you guys did the live stream of the showcase yesterday, and there was the trio.
Yeah, just making his first Showboys appearance. Yeah, he did good. I was proud of him. He got a little. Yeah. He's younger, so he gets a little more antsy and a little louder than Brady does. But
gotta talk over your brother.
Yeah,
let me talk. As long as they don't get in like a fight,
there was a couple. There was a couple where I was like, okay, stop fighting.
Calm
mute
down.
my mic. Okay, stop fighting, please.
I'll finish watching that. See if we can clip out the fights. But yeah, we have good episode tonight. Pretty hot off the heels of the PlayStation showcase that was yesterday. I have not seen it, but I have seen the Discord chatter about it. I've seen the various discussions about it. So I'm definitely going to use this as my tip off point. I'm fresh to this, though I knew a few things that came out. We are dangerously close to 400 subs. We are 2 away. So hit that subscribe button and let's get the 400 subs, and then we might give something away for whoever the 400th is, if your YouTube profile is public and we can see that you are in fact the 400th person to sub. So if your YouTube profile is public and you are the second of the next 2, you'll get something cool.
Something cool.
Let's get the 400. So, without further ado, I figured we could either start off with a little bit of what's playing, or go right into the showcase. Kind of got an opinion there.
Well,
let's do that. Let's knock the showcase out because I feel like it might be the shortest segment of this. To be honest with you.
Okay. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
See, I was thinking the opposite. I mean, I was.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Only because, I gave you a little bit of backstory. There you go.
Richard Yankee. He's gonna unload these 3 YouTube accounts for us.
Thank you. Sir.
He's gonna get that. Yeah, there
you go. So I was an Xbox guy for a while, and then I would say 3 or 4 years ago, I was gifted a PS4 from some work buddies at my old job.
Wow. Great friends you got.
Also gifted The Last of Us remake, which was very cool.
Really good friends you got.
I know, right? It made me fall in love with it. I ditched my Xbox. I ditched that whole pursuit of being an Xbox person.
It's a good pursuit to drop. I agree.
I mean, I still enjoy some of it, but I haven't touched it in years. And we have one at my kids have one at their house. But I've just loved all things Sony, basically. And watching this is the first showcase that I've seen ever. And I was blown away.
Really interesting. Okay. Interesting.
Because I've never played a PS5.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of these games, I mean, we can talk about it more later, but a lot of the games I'm very excited for, or like, so like Resident Evil 4, for example, the VR.
Oh yeah, you're a big VR guy.
Well, and it put to shame my little rinky-dink Oculus, really.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have saved up my freaking money to get a PS5 instead of a Switch.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was pretty happy with what I saw, honestly. But yeah, that's my 2 cents about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was very, very happy with what I saw at the end of the press conference
Right.
or showcase, whatever they're calling it. I thought that the kind of the lead up to it was meh. I mean, this is probably the most underwhelming showcase I've seen. So the way Sony does it is they have state of plays and then they have showcases. And the state of plays normally feel like what we just watched, where it's either like smaller studio games or, you know, like games we already know that are coming and they're going to get a big gameplay reveal. And that's kind of what this felt like. I know a lot of people were upset that we got a lot of news about stuff that we already know about. Like Final Fantasy 16 did not need to be in the showcase. It's coming out in like a week. So, or,
Right,
you know, like a month maybe. So we didn't need to see that in any capacity. I did not need to see the Gran Turismo movie trailer. I've seen it already. That didn't need to be in there at all. But there are some things I'm very excited that they announced. Very, very excited. So, you know, overall, I was kind of like, meh. Even the kids, like we watched it live and recorded it. Even the boys were like, what? They're gonna show any cool games? I'm like, I don't know, bro. This is all like, you can tell that Sony is definitely leaning into the games as a service side of things because there were a lot of trailers for games, what I assume are going to become games as a service games. And that's never been really my cup of tea. If anybody knows, I don't play multiplayer. So like for the first 20, 30 minutes of the showcase, I was like, okay, like literally nothing I would play.
However, I know you would play Phantom Blade 0.
Yeah, dude. So that was the first one.
Freaking sick.
That was the first one that I was like, okay, I see you. I see you, Sony. I see your showcase finally. Dude, the combat in that game looks freaking amazing.
Oh, it's so quick.
So quick. And I'm a sucker for quick gameplay because I love Sekiro, and Sekiro has very fast gameplay. It looks very Sekiro. I can't wait to see more of that game. I think that a lot of the stuff that we were seeing is gameplay. I wasn't entirely sure if it was cinematics or gameplay because some of them are like, I'm like, how could this even possibly be gameplay? Because it's so fast looking. But
yeah.
I'm very, very, very excited for that. I don't even think I wrote a bunch of stuff down. I don't think that got a release date or even a window.
I don't think it did.
And then I also thought it was odd. I'll have to look up because I've never heard of it, but it's called Phantom Blade 0, right? Which threw me through a loop because that's usually what they do when they're making a prequel to a pre-existing game. They name it 0. But I don't think there's a Phantom Blade, so I'll have to look that up. But
is that a thing?
Not that I've ever heard of. And if it is, it's gonna have to be on my list. My list. Yeah.
I don't see anything about it being
right. So
like
it's
that.
odd. It's odd that well, hang on a second here because there might actually be one. Yeah, there is. Oh no, that's the one that's coming soon. So I don't know. It's just an odd name for it. But and then there are a couple other ones that like PlayStation slowly becoming Nintendo with naming their games, where they're like abundantly clear triangle strategy. Like that's the worst name for a game ever, and that game's awesome, which sucks. but they're like, what can we name this thing? Let's see. It's a medieval game. There's 3 different houses, and it's a strategy game. Oh, triangle strategy. Let's do that. Like,
Perfect.
On, you can come up with something better.
It's memorable though. You can't forget it now.
Right. I do want to talk. I do want to talk a little bit about what I felt was kind of like a quick drop of a huge announcement, which was the remake for Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah.
That has been rumored. I think we talked about it on here a little bit in past episodes.
Yes.
It came out of nowhere, dude. I feel like the trailer was like 20 seconds long.
And the woods or the jungle.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. And the trailer has literally nothing to do with Metal Gear except at the end when you see Big Boss. So I was like, okay, but I'm down for it. I just thought that we were getting a Metal Gear Solid remake, not a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. So it's odd that they're remaking the 3rd game in that trilogy.
Yeah.
First, seemingly.
It's weird.
And not making the one that's the oldest, the hardest to get a hold of, the hardest to play. They did announce that they're releasing like a master collection, which appears to be just the old games re-released for the PS5, which is cool. But Metal Gear Solid, dude, if you play Metal Gear Solid, the original PS1, it controls like crap. Like it does not jive with today's game.
No. I mean, maybe 3. Well, 3 is probably definitely easier to clean up. And maybe that's to gauge interest on doing the harder 2 that are older and probably need a lot more work.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have to assume if you're going to remake a game from the ground up, which is what 3 remake is, that you would remake 1 first because it's a much shorter game, much less going on in it. I don't know.
Yak says they're remaking 3 because of the starting point of the story. I bet they try to do them in the timeline and not numerical. It's potential.
That would make sense because they actually did not make. It's not called Metal Gear Solid 3. It's just called Metal Gear Solid, and then it had like a triangle where the 3 normally was. So
Metal
that actually
Gear
does
Solid
make sense.
triangle.
Yeah. Yeah, that does actually make sense. I hope you're right because I need Metal Gear Solid to be remade, not 3.
Isn't that called Snake Eater?
Snake Eater is the original. And to be honest with you, that's the one I have the least ties to, like emotionally. Like I played a little. I don't know that I ever beat it. I probably beat it at some point, but I can't remember much of it. It does have a boss fight in it, which is like one of the coolest boss fights where it's like an old man and you could literally just wait in game and he'll die of old age eventually. And it's just like, it's a classic Kojima boss fight where he's very smart with the way he does his boss fights. But I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but you can literally just wait and he'll die of old age.
Jeez.
So
do you get like, is it like a different like story mechanic? Like if you just let them die that way, or it's
no,
like, hey,
no, it might be a trophy. Yeah, it might be a
trophy.
Yeah, it might be a trophy. Yeah, I don't know. It's been so long since I played 3. I've replayed every other one in the series besides 3 since their release, but I don't know. 3 had the like San Andreas thing going on where they just did too much, in my opinion. Like you had to like keep them fed.
There was so much stuff.
There's a lot going on, and I like that kind
That's
of
what you
tight
want out of
story.
That's what you want. That's what you liked about Red Dead. That's what you want out of Tsushima.
Yeah, but those games are like that already. You know what I mean? They're already open world games.
They're built.
They're already built like that. Metal Gear up until Snake Eater was not like that. It was a linear story driven game. So not and you also have to remember that this was like, I can't remember when 3 came out, but that was a long time ago. So my opinion might have changed since then on it. I bet if I go back and play it now, I might like it, but we'll wait for the remake at this point, right?
Yeah.
Other games that I was very excited for are
Chef Yak just posted the entire Metal Gear timeline in Discord.
Nice.
Shout out the Discord. Go to the Discord, hang out in there. Bunch of nerds talking about games mostly.
Yeah. So I do want to move on. Don't get me wrong. I'm very excited for Metal Gear. We didn't even get a release window. We didn't even get a trailer. If they only
played a 20-second, barely a trailer, it's
gonna be years. It's gonna be a while. So let's move on to Alan Wake 2, which I'm very excited for. They showed a gameplay trailer in this coming October 17th, which is very quick. So very excited. This is one of those games that's I guess it's a acquired, maybe a cult following behind the original Alan Wake. I replayed the remake of it and was far less impressed than I was playing the original back in the day. I don't know if that's just my mature gaming head telling me that or what was going on.
I love the original.
Yeah, I mean,
It's so
I love the
different.
original too. Yeah, it's really cool. I don't know what it was about the remake. I can't tell you. Maybe it's because I, like, in the back of my head knew that was an Xbox exclusive back in the day, and like now it's on PlayStation. I'm like, ugh, ugh. But I'm very excited for Alan Wake 2 because it looks really, really good. They've kind of intertwined the stories with Control as well, which I think is really cool. They're taking place in the same universe. Gameplay wise, obviously looks nothing like it. This is far more a survival horror look to it.
Yeah.
It looks very Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So very excited. October 17th. That's quick. That's the perfect time for a game like this to come out right before Halloween. So I was excited that we got a release date. Another October game, which I feel like Nick might be very excited for, is Assassin's Creed Mirage, which got another big trailer in this.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit when I was recording with the boys. It's not what I personally like about Assassin's Creed because I'm a late adopter to the Assassin's Creed franchise, so I didn't get into it until Odyssey, Valhalla, Origins, going back to Origins. That's what I want. I played.
Which one did you play first?
Odyssey was the first out of that trilogy. Hated it. Yeah, hated it. Still hate that game to this day. I don't care what anybody says. That game sucks.
Yeah, I'll eventually get back to it. Just because I've played almost all the Assassin's Creed, so it's worth getting back to. If they have some versions, I don't know if they've like actually remade them, but they definitely re-released them. But like the 2, which is kind of like a trilogy of games on its own.
Yeah.
That would be worth like spending some time and replaying. I don't know how well they hold up mechanically, but
yeah,
that was like peak original platformer stealth mechanic,
right?
Non-open world RPG, hack and slash that they are today. So, if you ever can, if they're worth it, I'll have to think about that. I would like to play them again because Brotherhood was fantastic.
Yeah,
it's in Italy. They're all in Italy.
So it's the Ezio trilogy.
Yep.
Is that what they call it? Okay. Yeah, I think they did re-release those ones. I played 1. 1 was very good for the time. I don't know if it holds up like you said today. 1 was very, very good back in the day. And this one is
like 9 hours.
Loved it.
Yeah. And this one is obviously going back to those style of games. This isn't a giant open world. This is a more condensed story focused, like the old school ones. But I said, like, when I was recording, like, I just want them to release this so that they can get to work on Assassin's Creed Codename Red or whatever they're calling it, the Japanese one. So I don't know. It looks cool. I figured Nick would be really into it.
I'm excited for Mirage. I'll have to check out if they've released some more gameplay of it. I'm hoping it's also like shorter, right? And it's not so long because that's one of the games I do like the story of it more so. Like I love Origins and love the open world and how much stuff there is to do in those newer ones, but that's also where like I'm afraid of Valhalla because it just seems like too much. Because Odyssey was a little too much for me. Origins was like the right size. So if they give me like a 20-hour Mirage game, that would be better than like the 80-hour, 70-hour Origins.
I'll be interested. I don't even know if you're gonna get 20. I don't even know if you're gonna get 20 out of this one. We'll see. I don't know. It looks like it could be a lot shorter. But I don't know. Like we talked about Origins a lot. I think Origins is a fantastic game. I think the world in Origins is just freaking stunning, especially with the PS5 upgrade. Like it's just an awesome world to exist in. I don't know. I just something about the desert, especially the desert at like night, dude. It's just so cool looking.
It's so crazy. Like, I can tie this into another conversation that I do want to bring up later, but like, it's incredible how beautiful a game completely set in the desert.
Yeah,
is.
right.
Like,
exactly.
It's a gorgeous game. Like, I don't know how they pull that off, but it's definitely my favorite Assassin's Creed. Origins is.
I think it's definitely out of the ones that I've played, at least it's definitely my favorite without question. And then whatever the train wreck that happened after in Odyssey is just
well, you played You gotta
And
play.
it's
You gotta play as the chick.
yeah, it's not even that. It's not even that. Like, yeah, that obviously adds some really bad points to the gameplay when you're playing as the guy. It's the gameplay that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
The combat in that game is nothing like Origins, nothing like Valhalla. It just feels like crap. So, and then who said something about didn't play Valhalla. Valhalla is really good. I think you should maybe check it out. I think it's right up
Yeah.
there next to. It's close to Origins. I think Origins is still ahead of it, but Valhalla is very, very fun. It just takes a little
Origins
getting
is so
into.
clean, so clean.
Origins
he
is
says-
so clean. Yeah, I agree.
He said 3 pissed him off. 3 also pissed me off. I could not finish 3 because that was the first installment where it deviated from the original formula,
Yeah,
and it just kind of you just kind of get lost in it. And I think the problem with 3 was it really stepped away from the animus, because there used to be in the original formula, like there's not a lot, but there's a good chunk of gameplay that is like the story outside of the animus, and they stripped that all away. And I think that it works for Origins because the story of Origins just stands on its own, but it's definitely lacking when the story of the animus part is not as good.
I love that
Right.
part about the Origin ones.
Oh,
like
it's
the
so
beginning.
interesting.
Yeah. I
yeah,
think
no, they really leaned out of that in the newer games. Like, there's still some of that stuff in there, but like I remember when I first played Valhalla, there was a lot of it, and then when I went back and restarted Valhalla, I don't know if if it was like open world check boxes I never checked or what, but I never saw any of the stuff that I remember playing the first time. So I don't know if they took it out or if I just didn't go
I think
to
it's
those
optional.
things.
You
think
have
it
to
might
like
be, yeah.
you have to leave and like log out to go do that stuff, but I think it's like almost completely optional, because it used to be like required, because I think they just ran out of like story to tell there, because obviously the driving force of the game is in world. But there's no reason they couldn't. That has like, to me, like kind of like the whole Control vibe to it, like the play style of it. It could have been something like that, a little bit more, less action, obviously, but more puzzly, more, at times you're running from the guys that are chasing you, and it was good. It was fine. It was a nice compliment to the historical stuff. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The thing that annoys me about it is that it's like I want to be a Viking. I don't want to be some dude in a hoodie, and it's going to be the same
dude
thing
in
with
a hoodie being a Viking.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'd rather be the dude in the hoodie being a Viking. It's going to be the same with if they add that stuff into Codename Red or whatever. Like, I'd rather be a samurai than a dude in modern day Japan in a white hoodie. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not why I'm here. That's not why. And I think they're getting that, at least. I think they're understanding that, like, their best storytelling, their best gameplay moments are actually in the world, not necessarily the whatever futuristic crap they got going on in the background.
Correct.
So then I would like to. Well, Dad, do you have any games that you caught your eye at least before we get to my final one?
Well, I have a feeling your final one is one of my final ones.
Yeah.
We basically went over everything that I had marked down, except for Fair Games.
Fair Games. Yeah.
Which looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that was the first one, right? First one in the showcase.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Very unique combat style, and like different crazy weapons and stuff. If I'm pretty sure that's the right one.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. A lot of people are excited for Dragon's Dogma 2, which got a release window, I think, in this maybe. I thought it was odd because the original Dragon's Dogma, let me look it up. That game is old. Like, very, like, they just re-released it, but it's like really old for it to be getting a sequel now. But we're in the age of sequels, it seems like.
I've waited
been
25
at least
years.
10 years. 2012.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, it's been by the time that game comes out, it'll probably be, 12 years.
Yeah.
I don't know what the release window is. I know that they're really driving Dragon's Dogma now because I think that they re-released it on the newer gen consoles, as well as there's an anime, I think, on Netflix, Dragon's Dogma anime, that actually looks really cool. I know nothing about Dragon's Dogma. It looks very Game of Thrones-esque, so it's probably right up my alley, but I just never got around to it. And then I was super impressed with Resident Evil 4 on VR. I know you already kind of mentioned that. Dude, it looks really, really good. I was surprised at how good that I haven't played very little VR stuff. And very, very little is what I mean, like barely anything. So I still have like in my head what VR was like when we were kids, where it was just like horrendous and nobody wanted to touch it.
Dude,
but
it's so good.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. I mean, I would venture to say that it almost looks the same as the actual game release, just in first person. So if there's a Resident Evil game that I would be willing to play in VR, it'd probably be 4, because 4 is a little lighter on the horror elements. It's definitely not going to be. I think they released 7 in VR. I think 8 is released in VR. You could not pay me enough money to put a VR headset on and play 7. I would literally pass out. I would pass out. Like, it's awful, dude. That game terrifies me.
The mannequin part.
Oh, dude, there's so much in that game that, and I think I've talked about it before. That's one of the few, that Metal Gear Solid 2 are the only games I've ever beat in one sitting. And I didn't beat Metal Gear Solid 2. I was a kid, so I had nothing else to do. That's why I beat that 12-hour game in one sitting. Metal Gear Solid 7, I was very much an adult, but I just was like, I want to beat this game, but I need to get through it because it's just horrifying. Don't like it. I'm a huge germaphobe, so like there's a lot of gross stuff in that game that just disgusts me. So yeah, you're not getting me with a VR headset on, climbing through that house and all that. Oh, it's so gross. But Nick, I know you want to talk about Sony's which again seemed like hey, quick announcement, we have a new handheld coming out. Project Q.
Well, it was funny because before the showcase, that leaked online, and it was basically, I guess people thought it plugged into any phone. Like,
that was my impression. No.
Yeah, So, and then the showcase comes out and it's like, nah, it's actually just, do they connect to the screen, or it is all just one?
So yeah, dude. Because
I saw the picture
connected.
of the one controller, and it has
gaps. It's got gaps.
No, it had like a USB-C port on it. I don't know if they were like misdirecting there or what, but there's a picture of the cradle, and then the one side has like a USB-C port, as if you would click in.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks. So it looks like a backbone. If you've ever seen a backbone, the controller that slides open, you put the phone. That's exactly what it looks like. And I thought that when they first showed it, but they showed the back of it, and it's like a solid piece. Yeah. There's nothing. So I've talked a lot on the podcast when we do gaming stuff, that I knew PlayStation was not going to leave Nintendo to just gobble up all the handheld market. And knew that this was coming at some point. We were going to get another handheld. This is certainly not what I thought we were going to get. This is just like a remote play device. Like that, dude, I don't think this thing's going to sell at all. I know you're excited for it. You might buy the only one, maybe.
That's fine.
But I don't know, dude. I don't have any luck remote playing stuff and playing streaming games over Wi-Fi. So I'm never going to buy a device that's a requirement. Never.
I just want
give me a hard drive.
PS5 anywhere around.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a hard drive on it?
Yeah.
That would be. It depends on the price point. If it's like $200 or less, maybe, right? But if it's like $400, no way.
No, yeah.
Put a hard. Have to have a hard drive on it. For it to be like something like that. It would be cool because my point would be like, not a huge hard drive, but something to move a couple games from your PS5. That way you can be in the car, be anywhere. Like, but if it's just at my home, the price point is gonna have to come way down, like more like a controller with a screen. And it said, and also in the video, dude's like full HD. I'm like, you just said HD. Like, that's a really outdated term, dude.
Yeah, it's a very outdated term. So I think that this is probably years ago at this point, but during the newscast, we talked about this patent. So there was a patent that had been discovered that Sony put in for, and it was for an object that looked very similar to the Switch, where it had removable controllers on the side, and then it just went into the shadows. Like, we didn't hear anything about it for multiple years. And I think this is what that originally was. It does not look, to me, again, they just didn't show any of it, dude. They're like, here's the handheld, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, do the controllers come off? Like, I don't know, dude. That thing better be $60 at most if they want to sell it. I'm sorry.
That's how much a controller costs. So it's gonna be
okay,
like
maybe
over 100.
Maybe 100.
They have to put an HD screen in there. Meanwhile, our phones are like way cracked out when it comes to resolution. So they would have been better off letting me slide my phone in there and just connecting it.
I mean, if we're being honest, it's probably going to be more than $200 because I think the backbone itself is $199. I could be wrong on the price on the backbone. I looked at it a while ago, so I think that alone, and that's just the controller, no screen that you put your phone into, right? So I don't know, dude. Like, this is not what I wanted. I wanted a competitor to the Switch in some capacity. This is not going to be a competitor to the Switch unless it comes out and run. And even then, it's so dependent on your Wi-Fi too, right? Like, it's so dependent running those games smoothly. If you're streaming
strong
them.
Wi-Fi, not internet. Like, it'll run over your network. It won't be dependent on your Wi-Fi speed. It'll be dependent on your network speed.
Yeah,
because it's local, which is a little different than internet draw through the Wi-Fi.
See, here's the other thing. Is it only local? Because that drives the price down even more for me, because you can get a remote play app on the phone right now that you can play non-local. So
I mean, how does remote play work? I've never done it.
So I have very little experience with remote play. The remote play that I am going to talk about is from the Vita, and the Vita obviously came out a while ago. Probably not the best technology in it, right? But it was remote playing, I think at the time, PS4 games to the Vita, and in the house worked great. Absolutely worked great.
Sure.
Ran smooth, very little lag. Outside of the house, like if I would take it to the fire department and then try to fire it up, sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't.
Because you're going over the internet.
Right? So, they have to put like games on this thing. I just don't see that. I don't see anybody buying this. I'm sorry.
Well, does your PlayStation have to be on?
Yes.
Okay. So that's a really weird trick if you're not at home, obviously. Like,
well, the thing about the Vita, even the Vita did it. When you started remote play, it would turn your PlayStation on at home. I have no idea how the hell it worked, but it did work.
Yeah.
But that kind of limits, like, if you wanted to play your game, but your kids wanted to watch something on the TV, can't happen because you know what I mean? Because it's still, if you were to turn your TV on while you're remote playing, the game is playing. You're playing it on the screen, but it's still playing on the TV.
But can't they just change the input and like flip it to
to a different device? Yeah, to a different device. Okay, yes, but I'm talking within the PlayStation specifically.
Yeah, it's still streaming the signal. Interesting. Right. Yeah, I'd be interested to see. I mean, it's still Project Q. Like, there's they probably are just saying as the least amount they can to generate just a little bit of interest.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, let me tell you. The very least they could have said, which was like,
so hey, I'd really hope they come off that HD. Wording. Even Nintendo is better than HD.
Right.
Well, you need the OLED, right? Is the regular Switch HD technically?
What is classified as HD?
1080.
No. 720 is the Switch.
Oh, damn. Okay, so. And the OLED
might be
1440.
Yeah, probably. The OLED might be. But the Switch, I believe the Switch undocked is 720. Docked, it's 1080.
Okay. So maybe they're going for 1080 to be slightly better than the Switch. But
but here's the thing: they're not going to compete with the Switch, because the Switch, you can go buy a game and put it into the device and play it.
Yeah, that's where maybe they're just not really 100% set on the hardware yet. And maybe it could, but you're right. It needs to be more than what they discussed it as being.
Yeah, it needs. Not only does it need to be able to play games on the go, which is the whole point you buy a handheld. Let's be
Yes.
honest. It needs to not play them over the internet. That's an awful idea. We're not there yet. Maybe in a couple years we'll be there
You
and
can't
everything will
not
run.
stream the game content over the internet.
Right. But then I mean, it's more complicated than just adding a hard drive into the device, right? I mean, you need graphics cards and all kinds.
Yep.
Well, presumably some of that stuff's in there because it has a screen, right? So it's going to have some sort of graphics.
It's all built into like the CPU. Usually,
Right.
They just have like a really decked out CPU. That's all our phones have. Like our phones don't have graphics cards, and then they have just CPUs do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, not a dedicated graphics card. The Steam Deck might have a dedicated graphics card because.
I would think it has to. Yeah, I would think it has to.
Isn't it powered by like NVIDIA or something or an AMD?
Yeah, it has to. There's no other way because it runs the games really, really good. So
yeah, I'm not sold, but I was just happy that they are working on a project that remotely might be slightly better than nothing.
It might be better than nothing. Yeah, I mean, my excitement went through the roof when I saw it initially, and then they were like, to stream games, and I was like, boop.
Yeah, my
they're targeting very specific audience, which is me, who I just want to play my PlayStation 5 like on the deck or like outside or like in my bed. I don't really go anywhere, and if I do, I'm not really in a situation to play games. So I'm just trying not to sit on my couch and play games. I want to lay on a different couch and play.
You want to lay out a different couch and play it on a smaller screen. I get it. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Small market.
Yeah, very small market for the people that want to play on a smaller screen. I know how this is going to go, dude. They're going to release this thing. It's not going to sell. They're not going to support it, and then it's going to fumble like the Switch or the Vita did. And the Vita, I'm a huge fan of the Vita. The Vita was way ahead of its time. I think it ran games as good, if not better, than the Switch. But it did not have the support past launch from Sony. Like they launched with awesome games, an Uncharted game, which I think is better than the first Uncharted game. Let me make that clear. That game is really, really good. And then after that, it's just like all indie stuff. Now, some of that indie stuff is really, really good, but it's not going to carry a handheld to Switch heights, right? So
they also had the earbuds, which look like a mini PS5, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
I was more excited about those than the handheld.
I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then I was gonna get the headset. Like if I'm sitting in front of my big old PS5 in front of my big old TV, I might as well have a big old headset on. I'm not gonna like wear earbuds. Now if they have like an actual handheld and I'm like in the car with like a mobile PS5 in my hand, then I'll get the earbuds. But they can't, it's weird to say, hey, we have these really awesome earbuds, but you can just use them with this basically controller.
Right.
Controller with a screen.
Yeah, who knows, man? The earbuds do nothing for me because I'm a little more interested in like the Pulse or whatever they call it, like 3D 360 audio thing. Just because it seems like even like some games I can tell would be awesome with those on. You know what I mean? Like Horizon I'm sure Horizon's amazing with those headphones on.
Get those stick cracks in the distance.
Yeah.
Leaf movement.
Yeah. So
you just need to get a Steam Deck, Nick.
I do. I mean, if Sony can't
forget about the
out of their ass in the next year or two, like definitely getting a Steam Deck.
There's no way it's going to compete with
it's
already.
I don't even think they're assuming. Yeah, I don't even think they're assuming they're going to compete with that stuff because there's no way they would have came out and brought this out with the intention to compete with even the Switch, let alone
It's just an accessory option, really.
Yeah.
So you're right. It should be like super cheap, like
it should
150
be,
max.
Maximum. Yes.
That's an expensive accessory.
Well, I mean, controllers are half that. I mean, they're $70 for a controller. So basically got a controller with a screen. 120 maybe, we can hope.
And then I also want to say that it's kind of hideous, if I'm being honest with you. It's very ugly. It's a very ugly handheld.
Oh yeah, it's the controller, but like weirdly wide.
Yeah. Just I don't know. I have to see more. I don't want to, I don't want to shit all over it yet, even though I pretty much have done that.
You've done that.
Talking about it. Yeah.
But you bring up a good point about the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck is probably still where I'm going to go, because my computer games are especially in need of me not being able to sit at my desk. Like that's
Right.
like I play my PS5 because I don't want to sit at my desk and play games. So the real problem here is sitting at my desk, and the only place I can play Steam games is at my desk.
Yeah.
Unless I get a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Big problem solved there. Minor problem solved with the PS5.
Yeah,
Because you're right. I don't want to play Red Dead or like Horizon on
No.
HD. This.
Yeah. No.
A lot of that's the hard thing that Sony's going to have to sell this thing, because a lot of their games are just not made to be played on a handheld. You know what I mean? You don't want to do yourself the disservice of playing that game on a handheld. It's just the way it is.
They were meant for a big screen.
Yeah, that's exactly. They're big. A lot of these games that are coming out, Horizon, Uncharted, Last of Us, Spider-Man, they're big blockbuster games, like a blockbuster movie. You want to play those on a big screen. So would it be cool to play those games on the go after you've already played them on the big screen? Maybe, but that's not going to sell me. That's not going to sell me. Like, hey, like, how are you going to sell that? You know what I mean? Hey, on your second playthrough of Ghost of Tsushima, this thing will be really cool. You know what I mean? It's just not.
There, it's basically a total platinum games more easily.
Yeah,
when you're just doing like stupid stuff. Like Origins, the last achievement on my way to platinum was I didn't get platinum, but it's the last one I got checked off the list. You have to lure a lion to a crocodile, and they have to fight to the death, basically.
Interesting.
And it's tricky finding a lion close enough to where the crocodiles are and lead it there without it dying.
Right.
It was an interesting little mission I accomplished, but I was like, that would be good just like laying in bed.
Laying in bed to do that. Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot.
Yeah, that thing does maybe have its uses for some, like grinding in games. That'd be a great device to like grind out materials and stuff in games. It has its place, but they got to do something else with it. You know what I mean? So it's got to do something else besides just stream games.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Okay.
They had that market cornered, and then they were just like, we suck.
Yeah.
Dude, they had. I mean, man.
We got to win this console war. That's what they.
And then Nintendo took over.
Yeah, the Vita
handheld
was so good, dude. And up until the Switch came out, I played my Vita pretty regularly. But after, it's like so hard to go back to Vita now after playing the Switch. Just like it was actually really easy for me to go back from the Steam Deck back to the Switch. And I think it's primarily because of the freaking weight difference between the two. Like the Steam Deck's heavy, dude. It's not made, like you have to have a pillow to lay it on if you're laying in bed. It's not made to hold for multiple hours playing a game. The Switch, it's so light and perfect feeling now. You know what I mean? Playing Tears of the Kingdom. That,
Dude,
but the Vita.
This topic always reminds me of this kid that I worked. It was like 2007, worked at the grocery store. He had a PSP, and he was like, dude, I literally have like movies on this thing. Like he'd wait there for his ride to come pick him up after we close, and he's just like chilling on the bench outside, just like watching movies, doing whatever on this thing. He loved it. And now I think I'm like, dude, that was 2007. Like he was ahead of the curve there.
Way ahead. Yeah, the PSP, again, the PSP was way ahead of its time. And those movies, dude, like it was just cool that you had, I can't say that I think that was a smart move, but it was a cool thing to have on the device. If I say it's a smart move, then I have to say that Xbox One was a smart move to come out and do all the movie and TV stuff that damn near collapsed Microsoft at that E3. So it's cool. It's cool. And it's cool to see like all the movies now. Like if you go to the Exchange and look at their PSP section, you can see a bunch of movies. I have a couple. There's a couple games that are like exclusive to the PSP, so I bought one like a couple years ago to play them, and they're just cool devices, dude. I don't know. I'm just a sucker for PlayStation handhelds. So
there's something about handhelds in general, though. Like it's so good. You can just go anywhere, you know.
Yeah. And go ahead.
But when you say Steam Deck, I kind of think like Sony for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the S or like. I think that's the like spiritual successor that Sony should have nailed. It was the Steam Deck, but it just happens to be Steam that did it first. But like that's the Steam Deck is basically the most modern version of what the PSP and the Vita originally did.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And I agree with you. If Sony would come out and do that, that would sell like crazy. That thing, if you could play natively on the actual device, Spider-Man 2, all these crazy games that we're
And
gonna
not
get
over
in the future.
Wi-Fi.
And not over Wi-Fi, right? That thing would sell like crazy.
And
Oh,
like
yeah.
nudge it up to like kind of like a small iPad screen too. Like let that thing get a little big. And
Yeah.
because why? Because we're literally promising you it is the PlayStation 5 in your hand.
Yeah. That's what they need, dude. And when they first showed that, I was like, oh, that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like, holy crap, finally. Chad was finally right about something. I've been talking about Sony is going to do a new handheld for years. Since I've joined this podcast, I've been talking about it. And it was so close to being right. I mean, I'm like half right. They're doing a new handheld. It's just not exactly what I thought or not what I imagined in my head it would be. But
Yeah. Big sad.
yeah. So, okay, Dad, you don't have anything else. Nick, do you have anything else from the PlayStation showcase? I know you didn't watch it, but
No, it was mostly that
Oh.
that Project Q is the main thing I was peaked in.
How did you feel about Marathon? The Bungie game.
yeah. So it made a lot less of a splash than I thought it was gonna. A new Bungie game, like it made a lot less of a splash. I think it's because what maybe happened at
still
the
play
end of the press
Destiny.
conference made the biggest splash out of
Well,
everything.
Of course.
But yeah, it looks like a Bungie game. It's very basic
sucks.
graphically. I don't know.
Poor Bungie. They went from like top notch, and then now it's just like, hey, it looks like a Bungie game.
Yeah, I mean it does. It does. And you can go watch us watching it live. I thought it was Destiny when it first started. I was like, oh, this is something new for Destiny. And then they announced it. I need more context. Not my kind of game. I played a lot of Destiny back in the day. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. It just looks very basic.
Yeah.
It almost looks like an indie game, if I'm being honest with you.
Ouch.
I can
So,
see that. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't light me on fire like the final thing did. And the best part is I think they announced something for Destiny 2. Is it like the final part of Destiny or final step or something or final something for Destiny 2? So it looks like they're abandoning Destiny and moving on to this new Marathon. I was under the assumption we were eventually going to get a Destiny 3 just because 2 did so well. But,
well,
right.
my thought there was like we would just never let Destiny 2 die. Like I thought they were going to support that like a World of Warcraft, where it's just like perpetually there. Yeah.
They supported it for a while. Not World of Warcraft's like in a category of its own, where that game came out like you know what I mean?
2004.
Yeah, and they're still cranking.
Anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought, and they did support it quite a bit, I think.
Oh yeah, way more than one, and that's why I thought they were moving to that format as like a game as a service. Because like you said, it doesn't, it's a Bungie game. Like graphically, like they found their like niche there with really Halo 3 / the Halo after that ODST. Yeah. I actually played that one. That was the last Halo game I actually played through.
Dude, I played the crap out of Halo 3. Halo 3 was awesome. I think Halo's lost its way since Bungie left.
Oh, sure.
I don't think it's anywhere near where it was in the first 3 entries.
The most popular Halo game is basically the remake of like
the remake
1
of
or
the
2.
1, 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Whichever one that was.
Yeah, I'll need more context maybe on Marathon. It's just not my kind of game. So it was like once I saw it, I was like, yeah. Let me see if I wrote.
Is that the big reveal?
Else.
No.
That's not the big reveal. The big reveal was, and we could talk about it. The big reveal was the gameplay trailer for Spider-Man. Do we want to put it up?
We can.
Or do we want to? Yeah, let's put it up.
Go get it.
I mean, it's a little long.
Let me
it's
find
a little
it.
long.
Well, we don't have to show the whole thing.
Yeah, we don't have to show the whole thing. So you'll notice while we were recording, I had a Spider-Man shirt on because I knew that we were going to get this.
The fan club's here.
And I didn't want to let the boys know. So in the beginning of the episode, I was like, I think we're going to get some really good announcements. I was like, I'm not going to say anything because the boys are here. And then I stood up and I was like, if you can use context clues, you might get what they had no idea what I was talking about. It was perfect. But as the press conference went on, I knew it was an hour long. It started at 4. We get to like 4:55 and there's nothing. I'm like, dude, You're kidding me right now. If they do not say anything, if they
Didn't
do
they
not
did that
show,
for the other Spider-Man release in the State of Play like 2 years ago when they announced the other one?
yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's usually always at the end,
Yeah.
but this was like, we have 5 minutes, and I was expecting like a large chunk of gameplay, a
15
release
minute.
date, all this
Yeah.
stuff, and I'm like, if they don't talk about this game here, it's not coming out in September, which is the thought process right now.
Quit.
And then they drop a 12-minute gameplay reveal and a release window.
Dude, it's
so good, dude. I
I
was
was so excited to watch this. Dude, I was like, yes.
I want you guys, if we're going to put it up, I want you guys to pay attention to the animations in this game. They're freaking crazy. We can skip probably through the first. Let me see which one. Yeah, I don't want to see the Craven stuff at the beginning. Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, right there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So they revealed Craven at the beginning. It's like a little intro video for Craven, who's going to be in the game. This is really exciting too. They're adding queens into the game, which is a nice change from normal Manhattan.
Yeah,
obviously it's more residential looking area.
This part blew me away, dude.
And this dude's so good.
Oh my gosh.
Like I didn't know what I was expecting from the symbiote suit in Spider-Man 2, but this looks so good, dude. Like I cannot wait to play.
Whoa.
It looks some of the animations of everything are
look
just
at the
incredible.
Fluidity there.
Yeah,
I mean,
so good.
Literally liquid, but
Yep, very Venom. You know, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I'm completely sold on Insomniac's version of the symbiote suit. I don't like this specific suit.
No.
I think it looks a little weird.
It does, but like
they're gonna have the other ones in the game, so it's not even gonna be a concern to me, honestly. Right? This is awesome here, where he webs a dude and smacks him against the house, and then this right here where he kicks him up against the house.
Yes,
so good, dude.
Oh my gosh.
So these are Craven's like hunters. Craven's come to New York City to hunt down all the villains and stuff. You know, he's a big hunter. And I think that the story they're going to tell in this is probably Craven's last hunt, which means that this game is going to be very dark. And I'm very, very excited for it.
Dude, do you care if I skip?
Yeah, you can skip through.
I want to go.
No, leave it here for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, yeah. Leave it there for a second because I just want to see that you can switch over to Miles. So we're going to be able to do Grand Theft Auto style switching between the two Spider-Man.
Which is
this
really freaking cool.
Really cool. Can't wait to see how that plays into the story. We know, I mean, if anybody knows Spider-Man comics, we know Peter's going to be bad in some capacity in this game because he's got the symbiote suit. That's how the story goes.
Right.
This looks awesome. They added the wingsuit stuff in, which is really cool. Now you can skip. I don't want to see any stealth stuff. There's really good animations in the stealth stuff, but overall,
I really liked this stuff.
Yeah, dude, the lightning. If you get to this might be right around
right.
here.
Yeah,
dude, the lightning looks so good in this game, and look, the animations are just insane.
So good.
Like it's crazy looking. The look of the lighting, everything about this, I'm so excited. And this is like a compressed video, right? So this game's going to look even better than it does in the showcase. Sure. So yeah, you can skip through this. Basically, they're trying to find Lizard before Craven does because Peter's trying to save him.
Dude, the whole boat scene was
do this right here. This is like very Uncharted 4. If you guys have played Uncharted 4, the like Jeep sequence from there, it's very reminiscent of that. And I also want to point out, it's probably not coming across on the video. Graphically, this game looks freaking incredible. If you go and watch the PlayStation video that they posted on their website, it's the best quality of the gameplay.
So much processing going on right now.
There is the city looks incredible. The lighting looks incredible. The water everything looks so good.
But even the speed at which things
and look
are
at the
occurring.
look at this. Like look at the animations are just crazy. I can't get over it.
So you got exactly what you wanted.
Oh, dude, through the roof. Yeah, through the roof. Excited. Cannot wait. Craven's one of my favorite villains. Venom is one of my favorite villains. Lizard, like all the good villains that I love are going to be in this. And Craven's Last Hunt is my favorite comic story of all time.
See, you don't need good Marvel movie Spider-Man. You just need really good Marvel
Yeah,
game
dude, this
Spider-Man.
this honestly, I loved No Way Home, but they should have told Craven's Last Hunt and No Way Home. We talked about it, I think, on our episode when I did it with Jordan. That's the story they should have went with. It was the perfect time to do it because Peter's identity was out. Everything about them setting that up, they should have set up Craven. They didn't, but now Insomniac's going to come in, take over. I want you to keep it go a little bit further. A little bit further. Get through the jet skiing stuff. Yeah, get through that. Okay. Keep it here. I just want you to watch the animation at the end with both of the Spider-Man flipping towards the end. It just looks so good, dude. I had to watch it like 5 times. Right here. So good, dude. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. So excited. So they announced a fall 2023 release date. The assumption was that it was going to be September because Venom's voice actor accidentally came out and said the game's coming out in September. And I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's probably bullcrap." I think the chances are that he got some sort of news about when the game and the marketing was going to start for the game, and then told everybody about it. So I think that window is probably what the plan was.
Sure.
It always bothers me when we do, like, we're in May and we're doing a fall 2023. Like, you should know your release date by now if it's coming out in 2023. Like, come on, dude. So I don't know. I this is like next to Tears of the Kingdom. This is my most anticipated game of the year. I cannot wait for this. These are, it's the sequel to my favorite PlayStation 5 exclusive, PlayStation 4 exclusive. And it's also telling like some of my favorite stories from Spider-Man comics. So I just cannot wait.
I would say that I would probably buy a PS5 for this game.
All day. Dude, you would, all day. Because not only are you going to get this, you're also going to get Spider-Man, the original one, and Miles Morales, which are 2 phenomenal games.
They come with it?
No, they don't come with it. I'm saying he's going to have the ability to play those
games.
Oh,
and I'm gonna need to.
And you're going to need to. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to need to. And just seeing what Insomniac did between the original Spider-Man and Miles Morales, which was a very short window, maybe a year or 2. Miles Morales is a much smaller game, kind of like Uncharted Lost Legacy, where it's like a smaller, 10-hour story or whatever. Just seeing the improvements they made from that small jump, I can't wait to see what they do in the sequel. And it looks like they're nailing it. Yeah, dude, it looks like they're nailing it.
They've done the best job with like one of my favorite characters of all time.
Yeah.
For
sure,
dude. What?
Flipping all around. So, who's your favorite character of all? Spider-Man? You're talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like his story overall, and like everything that just intertwines, like the comics.
It's I would venture to say, like, I love the Spider-Man movies, but I think the Spider-Man Insomniac Spider-Man game is probably my favorite Spider-Man media. Period. Like that, it's a great game, and very bold for them to come out, because the easy thing to do would have been to come out and tell his origin story, which has been told so many times that we don't need to tell it again. Right. And they came out and said, no, this Spider-Man's been Spider-Man for 8 years. He's established. He's got things going on. So I can't wait. Dude, I love Craven. I love Venom. I love the symbiote suit story. I know that's been told a lot, but I'm sure Insomniac's going to put a big spin on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know that. I think I said in the Discord, because I think Ben mentioned, like, I've played the oh no, the suit is bad story so many times. I bet that's 10% of this game, because I think Craven's going to take the center stage here. I'm sure that.
I mean, it started with him. The whole theme is him hunting.
Yeah,
so
for sure,
it makes sense. I mean, why would they do that?
And Craven's Last Hunt is one of the darkest comic stories in the Marvel universe, for sure. I mean, it's up there with the darkest stuff from DC. So can't wait for it. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I'm so
pretty
excited.
too.
Like I'm just pure excitement watching that trailer.
Yeah.
And then I got to my kids' baseball game after while they were warming up. I watched it again. Then when we got back home, we watched it again. That's when I found because normally when you're watching like the live press conference, it's not the best quality. So I like to go and watch the actual videos they release.
Yeah.
So you probably didn't get the best quality here, but go to PlayStation's YouTube channel and watch that video there and see how good this freaking city looks, dude. It's incredible.
So much going on in that
in
that boat scene.
Yeah.
The spatial coordination of like programming all that is just insanity, especially when you're gonna be like jumping characters, and it's just such an aware world at that point.
Absolutely. I think I think the rendition of New York City in the original Spider-Man game is really good. I think personally it's too clean. New York City is a very dirty city, so I think they need to dirty it up a little bit.
That's how the PS2 Spider-Man was. Like it was just cartoony, kind of,
cartoony New York City.
It's not GTA 4 New York City.
Right. Yeah. But it needs that. That's almost such a major part of New York City, that grittiness. You need that to feel like you're there. I think they did such a good job capturing the city streetwise and building wise that you still felt like you were there. You just felt like you were in a very clean version of that city.
Yeah, you're usually flying above the streets, so they don't need to pay attention to that.
Right. Yeah, I can't wait, dude. This is gonna be a day one, maybe even a midnight release. I haven't done a midnight release in probably a decade. This might be a midnight release for me. Because they do them at 9 p.m. now for us old people that don't want to wait up till midnight. At 9 p.m. Nintendo,
right, because we did that when we were younger. We were up all night.
Yeah, for sure. Nintendo, I think, is the only company that still like does midnight release. Like they will not release their games at 9 p.m.
I mean, at least you don't have to go to Best Buy and like wait in line to get it.
Right. Yeah.
Because they know people will.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I went to. So bad. I feel bad even saying this because I worked at this unnamed game store, but dude, it's just a sad place now. It's just a sad place, and it sucks because I think they're probably gonna fold, like Toys R Us, like all these places I remember when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I was lucky enough to have memories of taking my kids to Toys R Us and GameStop, so at least they'll have that little portion. But
dude, it's crazy. I went to GameStop or an unnamed place. And like,
how'd you know?
One dude that was working in there, right? I could just sense his sense of urgency, like trying to sell me everything.
Yeah,
because they're desperate,
Oh yeah. I mean, it sucks, dude, because if I have switched over to digital purchasing of games, that's how you know it's bad, because I was diehard physical. Like I bought everything physical.
I was the same way. Yeah,
it's too easy,
dude.
now.
It's too easy.
So
easy. I always said for the longest time that I would never switch to digital copies unless they lowered the price like $5. Like what the disc has to cost something. Okay, lower the price $2 and I will switch over. If I was spending $60, I wanted something to hold in my hand to see that I spent that $60. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's going by the wayside, man. I buy everything digital now. The only thing I didn't
Same here.
was Tears of the Kingdom, just because GameStop had such an absurd deal on that game that I couldn't pass it up.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I would still buy physical if I didn't need to put the damn disc into play.
That's the other thing that's a pain.
I get putting the disc, like that's how World of Warcraft was in PC games were in back then. You put the disc in to install it and you just need one to play. I get it. But at this point, it should be like full install.
Read it. Yeah.
Yeah. And figure it out from there. I know that's for like so you don't pass it around to all your friends and they all install it, but
I'll be honest with you, I think that was probably the biggest thing for me and it might have been the PS4 generation where you had to start installing the games from the disc. I was like, dude, I'm out. Like I might as well buy digital if I have to install it. Like the point of
it's just
buying
like
physical,
streaming.
Yeah, I get it, but the point of buying
can't transfer that much data.
I get it. It's just a pain,
It is.
Like if I buy a physical game, I want to get home, put it in, and play it immediately, not in 2 hours when it downloads and all the updates come in and all that. So
Yep.
Man, where we need to get is back to cartridges, but they're actually just hard drives that put the 150 gigabyte Spider-Man game on there and just plug that bitch right into your
Yeah.
console.
Yes. That
And
would
then
be awesome.
you bought a physical like hard drive that just has one game on it, and it's this massive because they're so big too. And
They're
Right.
massive.
maybe that's the
games now.
direction it needs to go. Like it solves a couple problems: physical copies, the installation problem, and then you get like something physical there for you.
Yeah, I just want that's what I want. And it
Big
wasn't and
cartridge.
it was cool. It was cool to like go get Tears of the Kingdom and be like, "Oh my gosh, like I hadn't bought a physical game in years, bro." And that was the first one. I think I went
Full circle. It'll come back.
yeah, I
Just
think
like
I
record
went
players, like
Right.
we'll get cartridges back.
right.
Got to
Well,
blow on them.
my concern and I guess we can probably get into Tears and Red Dead now, right? Cuz I think we're done with the
Yeah.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
So my concern was I have 3 people in the house that wanted to play that game. Me and both boys.
Right.
Yes,
My
that's 2 more
concern was
switches.
Two.
my concern was we already had 3 switches, right? But they're all on the same account in the same
Oh.
profile. So my concern was if I bought digital copy of it, that I would be not allowed to play while they're playing. It would kick me off because we've run into that a couple times. Now, a buddy of mine told me that you can actually buy digital copies of games and share them on the same account and play them at the same time. But that still doesn't solve my third issue, which was the third Switch that would need to play, which you couldn't do that with. And then the freaking trade 2 games and get $50 towards Tears of the Kingdom. All the games, I traded in 6 games to get 3 copies. All the games I already own digitally. So I lost nothing. So I got 3 copies of Tears of the Kingdom for the price of 1.
It's amazing.
For the price of 1 copy.
Yeah.
So it was like a no-brainer. Plus, it was cool because the game
to
came
the
out
unknown game store.
to the
Like
unknown.
you traded
game
it.
store.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought they were saying Nintendo let you do that. I was like,
No.
what?
To the unnamed game store had a list of games where if you
Oh.
traded 2 of said games, you would get
Yeah,
$50 towards a copy of Tears of the Kingdom.
Even if I wouldn't have given it away, everyone would know who you're talking
Oh
about.
yeah, there's
right?
only one
Yeah,
game store.
I know. It's
Unless-
a running joke at this point.
Right.
I know it's
Right.
not the exchange around here, so it's the only
Right.
other game store
Yeah.
that we have.
But the other thing too was Tears of the Kingdom came out the day the boys got out for summer break, so it was like
Perfect timing.
so perfect timing. Had to go take him to the game store, get it. Roman
Time
was
to
like,
unlearn everything.
Roman didn't even care that it was the last day of school. So when he got off the bus, he's like, "Let's go get Tears of the Kingdom." I'm like, "Let's do it." Like, didn't even care. Didn't even
Yeah.
care at all.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about Red Dead first?
Yeah, I got 2 little micro topics.
Okay.
Red Dead and then another one that came out today. And I posted about this in Discord a little bit. So Total War franchise, one of my favorites. They announced their new game, Total War Pharaoh, right?
Pharaoh. Yeah.
Bronze Age Egypt, so like old school Egypt before it was Roman Egypt, unlike Origins, right? But this is what reminded me earlier when we were talking about Origins. People were ragging on it because they're like, "Oh, that's gonna be a real like good-looking, diverse game. It's all in the desert." I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, Origins, all in the desert, beautiful game.
Looks
Very
amazing.
diverse as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm also in this like Total War gaming group on Facebook, and holy lord, the most piss poor, upset group of bitchers I have ever seen. Apparently, the only thing that was allowed to come out from Creative Assembly was Medieval 3 or bust. Like apparently anything else they do is just trash.
Yeah.
Now, I get so there's that. So Medieval 3 was supposed to come out. They've been waiting for that for like 10 years. Maybe longer. But the other big thing is a ton of people are against the Warhammer like mythical style. There's 2 group of Total War gamers. There's like Warhammer people that love that mythical stuff, but then there's the historical stuff, which is like Shogun, medieval, Rome, straight historical.
Yeah.
But the issue is they've started doing their historical base stuff, but with like mythical elements in it because they have like main heroes and stuff like that. 3 Kingdoms in China's like that, where they have like very enhanced hero units, right? That can just like lay waste to people. So people don't want that. They just want a historical title, and they want the historical title to be like medieval or like Shogun 3, which I get. So they come out with Pharaoh, right? So one, people just get there's bent over backwards about the fact that it's not historical apparently, because they think it's going to have like mythic stuff in it. But yeah, this just shows up in my feed and they're just going off.
Dude, yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
Dude,
and if anyone comes in there and is like, it looks good, like it's like I'm excited. Everyone's just like, we get it. Like, you just take whatever shit the studio's gonna feed you. I was like, you just can't win. Like,
right. Yeah, I told you, dude, gamers are the worst group of complainers that you'll ever meet in your life. That you can't make them all happy. And it's to the point now where I just I'm not even on most of those pages. You know what I mean? There are a couple really good ones. The Zelda one is really good and positive. Whichever one that is on Facebook. There are a couple that are really good. But most of them, dude, it's like, come on, like,
it's very toxic.
It's very very, very, very toxic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't stand the just blind hatred towards whatever is announced.
Just to
you
hate.
know what I mean?
Just to
hate on it. I can't stand that. Like that Spider-Man 2 is getting that. Just blind hatred. Like we didn't even, oh yeah, it looks okay. Dude, it looks freaking incredible. Like, shut up.
It's
like,
incredible.
What are you talking about? Like, you're buying this game day one. Shut up, please.
Right.
Yeah, but like the requirements of what they want or what they claim like the whole like community wants is so hyper specific. Like, non-mythic, historical, medieval 3. Like, they're basically asking for a very like a specific exact game, right? And I'm like, okay, 1, it's not a Warhammer game. 2, it's gonna be halfway historical because at least it's based on like a real place. General real things. The mythic stuff will probably be a DLC. That's how they did it for Troy. Like for the Trojan War, they added like some mythic stuff in there, and that was like a short game. But I'm like, 1, it's also, they're not saying it's a small game. So like they have Total War Saga games where they're more abridged. There's much smaller maps and a very focused like story. This isn't one of these, at least by title. So I'm like, you're getting a full game. It's halfway historical. It's an era that they have not done before. So it's technically very new. It's new. It's not like they're rehashing something they've already done. So I'm like, that seems like fair game for me. But sorry, it's not Medieval 3. Like, burn it to the ground.
I get I get the historical and the fantasy element stuff going on, because I understand that, because like Ghost of Tsushima is a perfect example. No mythical stuff really in the main game, right? But the online stuff is all mythical stuff. So there's a place for it. But at the same time, when we had Jakku on and he talked about Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima, Sekiro leans in very heavy to Japanese folklore and all that stuff. He said that game's arguably more historically accurate than Ghost of Tsushima, which if you look up some of the Ghost of Tsushima stuff, not very historically accurate. Like the katana wasn't even made until a couple hundred years later from that story. So there's a place for it, but I get like, I feel like a Total War game like that should be historical.
It should be. They should be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't play the Warhammer ones because I just have no interest. They look awesome, but like, I just have no interest in that style. And the people that really love those are kind of like min-maxers that love the online play because all the factions are different. They're all completely unique. Whereas like the historical ones, you lose a little bit of that because everyone's got spears, shields, and swords. So like you can only do so much with the mix up there. But there's something historically cool about like that too as well.
Right.
So it's just been like the most recent thing that I'm just like, dude, like y'all are just ridiculous. Like it's not even like they're like, oh, I get the whole, I wish they wouldn't do the fantasy stuff. I get that. That's a very binary thing. But like they are like so dead set on like, we've been asking for Medieval 3 for 12 years. Like, just make it for us. It's like,
that's the same thing that like Insomniac gets, because they really want Insomniac to redo Resistance, start a new Resistance, which was their shooter franchise back on the PS3. And if you go to like any of the Spider-Man stuff or Ratchet and Clank or anything that they post, that's all it is, dude. It's like, where's Resistance 4? We need a new Resistance. Like, dude, they've moved on. You should probably move on. Will they revisit Resistance? I'm a firm believer in the future they are going to revisit that. Right now, they're very Marvel heavy. They're making Spider-Man 2. They're making a Wolverine game. They're not making Resistance, so stop asking for it. It will come eventually, but not within the next 8 years, probably. So
well, here's
just
the
stop.
Yeah,
Just
here's
stop.
the other thing with like that. So like Total War, Creative Assembly, outside of like a patch of like 3 or 4 years in the early like 2010s, they have released a Total War game every 2 years since 2002. Right? There's like 10, there's like 20 of these games, like either half games or full games. There's 100% a full game every 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's not even like they lost their like chance for the next like 5-10 years to get what they want, because someone was like, dude, guys, they release like Total War game every 2 years. We could easily get like a Medieval 3 in the next 2. It's just like there's people just trying to like logically think about it, but like the shit posting just like it's just seething.
Dude, it's so bad. Yeah, it's so bad. I like I said, I just stay off of those pages. Now, granted, some of my opinions might even line up with some of those, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
if Ghost of Tsushima comes out and the sequel doesn't go to mainland Japan, I'm gonna be that guy that's like, what are we doing? Why are we not going? You know what I mean? So I get it to a capacity, but like berating people over it, like it's not worth it. Berating the developers over it. Same with like The Last of Us Part 2. That game was so hated that the voice actors were getting death threats. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's ridiculous.
But
it's
it was
not
so
theirs.
hated off of like the leaked script online.
Yeah,
like it wasn't even the game.
It was like 5 lines of a leaked story that was like 30 hours long. Like, of course, it's going to sound terrible when you read 3 sentences of an 80-hour or 30-hour story. You know what I mean? Of course, it's going to be awful sounding. So, yeah, it's just very toxic. Very, very toxic.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just rears its ugly head everywhere.
Always,
and like that stuff's passively there. Like you said, like there's the people that want certain things, and we get that, but like they announced a new type. Be happy they're making a game, but like also Total War is a massive franchise that every 2 years. Now Tsushima, it's like y'all kind of have like one job, like maybe make a different game, but like work on your the next hit on the Tsushima thing and make it good. It's like you had one job. Total War, like it's got like a lot of jobs that they're trying to.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah, I don't know, man. I was a little surprised that we didn't get some sort of teaser for Tsushima 2 in this press conference. I thought for sure we were going to get something.
Thing. Wait, do we know?
We don't even know. We don't even know that they're even making a
25.
sequel. We don't even know that they're making a sequel, to be honest with you. There's rumors that they're making a sequel. I think they're stupid to not make a sequel because this is obviously their game, their franchise that they should at least lean into for one more entry. We'll see. I don't know, man. I thought we would get just a CGI trailer or something, but yeah. Nothing.
So Horizon Zero Dawn was in 2017 February, and what? The second one came out last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Forbidden West came out last year, February.
It's typically, it's typically
exactly
a
5
years. Typically 5 years. Yeah, that's the same with, I think Tears of the Kingdom was 6 years, maybe. Spider-Man 2 is lining up to be 5 years. Tsushima came out in 2020, I believe.
Yeah,
so
July 2020. So
there's so much that goes into these games. They're freaking massive.
Yeah,
people are getting pissed about stuff not coming out when it showed or whatever. They have no idea what goes into these games.
For sure. For
especially
now.
Right.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, by the install size of the game, like,
and they're expensive
these games are
to
huge.
make.
Very expensive to make. Yeah. I mean, rivaling the biggest blockbuster movies. Most of these games.
Yeah.
So they're very, very
wild.
expensive.
And they take way longer to make.
Way
longer to get through. Also, there's much more value in a game.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So a AAA hit like that, and a breakout hit too. Like it's going to be like 5 years before they make a second one. So
honestly, dude, it's only going to get longer because it wasn't that long. If you remember, like Grand Theft Auto 3, came out in 2001. Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out in 2002, the next year. Okay.
Yeah.
And those
I
are
think-
those are big games for
Weren't
the
they
time.
working on that one though?
Probably, yeah, probably. They
I
were
think
working on it at the
sometimes
same time.
they're working on multiple projects at
Yeah.
the same time.
But
But still,
that's not the way you can do it now. Like,
it's not like
most
that
of
at
these
all.
studios need all resources pointing to the game that they're working on. Not now. There are exceptions, right? There are multiple studio like slipping my mind right now, but the Control and Alan Wake studio, they're clearly working on multiple games. Naughty Dog is clearly
Right.
working on multiple games, but those are the exception. Most
Sure.
of these studios need to focus all their energy on one
Project.
game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when they had that hit, that was, when you get that, certified whatever title, when you become a hit game and you're
Yeah.
$20 forever, right? That's when you focus on that and get
Yeah,
two
for sure.
two or three out, and then you can start trying your
I
your
agree.
shot
And
elsewhere.
it's exciting for PlayStation because we've got a lot of those first hits. We've got Spider-Man, we had Horizon, we had God of War, if you want to count that as a new hit. I
count
think you
that.
should, because it's totally different than
Yeah.
the old God of War games.
100%.
The Last of Us,
It's a double hitter.
Ghost of Tsushima, like there's a lot of really good
Yeah.
first entries that we need sequels to. It just
God of
has
War
to happen.
reinvented itself and
Yeah,
hit
it did.
itself.
Yeah,
Like
I think
that's a talent.
yeah, you can't even. It's amazing what they did with Kratos, because for the longest time, probably before the podcast, I thought Kratos was literally the worst game character ever. Like, he has no personality,
Right.
nothing. He was awful. And God of War gave him a personality, gave him like an actual character behind him, which was awesome to see. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that we're going to start to see this trail. It's 5 years now. It's going to be 6 years. It's going to be 7 years. If you're Rockstar, 20, bro. Like, let's just go 20 for Grand Theft Auto 6. Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
I saw
I
this.
just can't wait to see what that game is going to be, dude.
Oh, it should
What is it
be
gonna
as
be?
impressive as that Spider-Man trailer.
Sure, I certainly hope so.
I saw this video of like 80s, 90s, even like a little bit of 2000s Disney movies, right? And how they reused animation like wireframes, right? So it's the
Yeah.
exact same animations, just two different movies. So they reused assets to save money,
Sure.
right? So
Yeah.
so things like Grand Theft Auto and Vice City, like they 100% reused all the assets,
for sure.
reskinned them, right? It's the same game, just a different setting, story, and stuff. Back to like gamers these days, like you dare do that for Ghost of Tsushima,
dude.
like obviously
It
they're gonna
will
reuse
cite-
some assets, but
You will
if
be-
it's apparent, like an anime, like they will
Dude.
reuse them. But if it's too apparent of just like we're just gonna reskin the game in like a different place,
It'll
they're gonna
set
freak
the
out.
internet on
Melt.
fire.
Yes.
If there is a bamboo tree that is the same one from the original game in 2, people are going to freak out. That's just the way they are now.
Yeah.
And
So
then they
it's gonna
want to
take a long
complain.
time.
Yeah, and then they want to complain when the games take too long. Like, just let them reuse the freaking palm trees, bro.
Never
Like, just let them
freaking
reuse it. Maybe
It's
we can
just
get
a
it in 4
freaking
years.
tree.
Yeah, it's a tree, for God's sake. Yeah,
But
I
you
don't
can't
know.
just be happy. You can't just be happy though either.
No.
No, never.
That's like the main takeaway. It's like, okay, so you just can't be happy. That's what it is.
That's what it is, dude. Yeah, that's what it
'Cause
is.
if you
There's like
are-
very little positivity in the gaming community. Very little.
Yeah,
Very, very little.
unless you're absolutely a bliss and afloat like Zelda.
Yeah, dude,
Right.
and that's the funny thing is, like, Nintendo, they have like their own community where they're just not like that. Like, if you find a dedicated
They're the just
Nintendo
be
YouTube
happy
channel,
people. They all just
they're just-
leave place
they're
everything
all so
else and
happy.
they go. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
they just
all so
leave
happy.
everything else. They're like, I'm just gonna play my Nintendo games.
yeah,
There's
and
nothing
they're
to worry
happier for
about.
it. So great.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
Mario
doing it right.
45, yeah.
yeah, yes, love it.
Yeah.
I'm just happy.
Yeah. So talk to me about Red Dead. Are you done
Yes.
yet?
I did my homework. I watched a video online of
Oh,
just
good.
Red Dead
yes.
1. Super cool. Makes a lot of sense. John Marston, see how he plugs in now.
Yeah.
And also makes sense because I'm like, oh yeah, duh, he does look like the character from Red Dead 1. And I was like, hey, it's probably just Arthur, but just something else.
Yeah.
And I have finished the main chapters. I started the epilogue chapter like shortly after, just because it starts right away. But I finished the main story.
Okay, so
Arthur's story.
Okay, so I don't want to spoil anything. So Arthur's story, what do you mean by that?
Like the end of Arthur's story.
Okay. So who are you playing as in the game? Arthur
John
still?
Marston now.
Okay. That's what I didn't want to spoil. And that's why I told you, like, dude, you should at least go watch a video
Yes. Yeah.
of the first game, because it's not going to make any sense to you if you don't.
It
how'd
made
you
the
like
last
the end?
chapter really good, knowing the focus on John Marston.
Yeah. And the cool thing is it, to my knowledge, opens up the entire Red Dead 1 map as well. Like, you can go to any of those locations in Red Dead 1. They're radically different, obviously, than they are in the first game. But
Yeah.
how'd you like the ending? Did you like the end of his story?
I did. I think the whole entire, I was so captivated by the entire premise of the story, right? Like the last kind of gang life in the Wild West, and just how society maybe used to be, right? Before the invasion of civilization, right? So like, to me, the whole story was just so kind of like sad the whole time, that it was kind of like a very nice sunsetting on that entire era. So it wasn't, and I didn't like the Micah fight at all. I hate Micah so much.
He's a trash bag. Yeah,
Dude,
absolutely.
and just that whole situation. I get it for how Red Dead 1 plays out. And maybe there's some alternate actions in there based on stuff, but like in mine, like Dutch didn't do anything to, I was hoping Dutch would kill Micah or something like that, but they just walk their separate ways and I just die on my rock, which was
Yeah.
fine. Like, it makes sense. So it's very kind of cathartic, and I don't know how much of that adjusts based on your decisions, because even like the storyline, you're kind of redeeming yourself, and obviously that's the name of the game, but like just the way that that was my favorite chapter by far.
Yeah. I just
story wise,
I love the element of tuberculosis in the game, where you get it during a mission and you can see him slowly deteriorating through the game, where he's coughing more and towards the end of the game, right? So I thought for the longest time, I was like, so can you not do that mission where she coughs or spits the blood on him and then it's a different ending? Like, that would have been really cool if you could not go do that mission and he doesn't die of tuberculosis at the end, because he never gets it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how it is. I think that might be a main story mission. I thought when I first played it, it was a side quest that I went and did. And that's when it happened.
That would be interesting, because I know like some of the side characters, like the one lady that you help way up north where her husband dies, like if you don't attend to her, like she has a very tragic ending, versus like I had a very good ending where she worked, fixed herself up, and she survived. But then I read that like if you don't go do her missions, like you get a pretty sad like ending to her loop.
That's what made me so curious, because there's a lot of that stuff in the game where your decisions matter, right? So I was so curious to like find out if you could not get tuberculosis and have Arthur, die at the end of the game.
And like tuberculosis is so contagious, but like, was it not contagious then? Like, it was just like no one else gets it because he's just walking around hacking on everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was even like a focus of the story, but yeah, it was wickedly contagious, right? So I don't know, dude. It's just one of the coolest caps to a game that I've ever played. Like, you don't expect that to happen at all. Like, you're not.
Right.
I
thought I was going to get cured by the
Indian,
Indian chief. I thought he was going to cure me. I thought a number of times like the magic cure was just going to like show up, but it's like, and then finally I was like, I think I'm dying. Like,
yeah, dude. It's just watching the progression of him getting sicker is one of the coolest things that I've ever played in a game. And you're really, by the time you get there, you're really attached to Arthur. You spent 30, 40 hours probably with him if you did all the side quests. So
I think I'm definitely between 35 and 40 is where I'm at. And I've done all like the main side quests, the main missions, all that kind of stuff. And I love the music horseback ride moments where
so good.
Like I'm like, what is like this is pulled off so well.
That's what I'm saying. Is cinematically, like, that is like the tip. Like, I love Grand Theft Auto 5, don't get me wrong. Red Dead 2 is the tip top Rockstar cinematic experience. and they just seemingly abandoned the shit out of this game. You know what I mean? They're just moving on, and it hasn't paid off yet, right? Because Grand Theft Auto 6 is still happening maybe in the next 15, 20 years. So we'll get it.
Yeah.
So it sucks because Red Dead Online could have became Grand Theft Auto Online. Like it could have had that following if they focused on it a little bit more. You know what I mean? But this is, I'd really have to sit down and think about it. But this might be my favorite Rockstar game. Like it's just so well done.
I mean, story-wise and even gameplay-wise, like gameplay-wise, there are things that I don't like. It's not as smooth as like Horizon, Zero Dawn, and like that whole franchise.
Yeah.
But it captures a lot of that idea. I think it's a lot cleaner than like Grand Theft Auto when it comes to
I think
interactions. There's some weird horse stuff. There's some weird, like the cover system's good, but like I think it does some odd, like the way when it de-equips your weapons, like at certain points, it's weird. Like there's weird things like that, but that might partly be like user error.
It might be. The thing with Red Dead is it really leans into realism far more than Horizon does, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff can feel a little clunky because that's how it would probably actually feel, like they're really going for realism. Like I think even the horses, and I think the horses' testicles shrink when you go into the cold. So watch that next time.
Oh, wow.
So even little things like that, like who thought at Rockstar that was like, dude, we should totally make their balls shrink when you go into the cold.
I know
like,
they take
that's not
shits
even
all the time
in such a huge game. Like, why are they even thinking about that? But I think it's that line of thinking that made the game feel so freaking amazing. Like it's so realistic feeling. And then the ending, I'm never a big fan of giant open world games where you play as a different person at the end. And I think that kind of upset me a little bit at the end that Arthur died. I spent all this time with him, and then you get John Marston. And the thing that annoys me about him is he is much skinnier than Arthur is. So like all the armor, all your clothes look really whack on John Marston at the end of the game because he's like bone thin.
I was worrying about that. Like, obviously, there's stuff you can't complete once you've moved so far along the way. So, but I figured, like, obviously, I was like, how are they going to leave me in the world? I guess you could always do a save before the last mission. And
you definitely could. I think I did do that. Luckily,
is there a new game plus?
That's a good question. I would imagine no. I don't think Rockstar really necessarily does new game pluses. I can't think of any games where they have done it. But yeah, there's the epilogue, dude. There's a lot to do. Like, there's a lot more game to play. Like, it's not like a quick chapter and it's over. You could get stuck there for another 10 hours probably if you're exploring, because it opens up a whole another section of the map. You got a lot of stuff going on there. So I thought it was definitely a cool epilogue. I just didn't like Marston. Like, he just needs to eat like a couple burgers, and maybe I would have liked him a little bit more, But that's why, that specific reason, I was like, dude, if you get to the epilogue, you're going to have no idea who this dude is, why we're here, why we're doing this. So you're not going to have, and even now, I think you're not going to have any emotional tie to the map, which that's a lot of that's going to be lost on you because you didn't play the first game. So true. Like when you go to like Thieves Landing, which is like a cool...
I know it's down there though, because I'm like, I want to go past Blackwater, and I really wanted to go back to Blackwater, but that was what like people were saying, like maybe that's like Red Dead 3, like you get to go do Blackwater, so you even go back further in time. It's just constantly like working backwards.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I'm not even talk Red Dead 3 because that game's not going to come out for probably 30 years. If you play
as like the righteous Dutch, right? Up into Blackwater before you go into Arthur, saving all of the gang along the way. That's the move.
Yeah, that would be cool for sure. But I mean, like it was cool to like just go around to all the locations from Red Dead 1 and see how or Red Dead Redemption. Let me rephrase that, not Red Dead 1. And see how they change. Like there's big cities that are popping in Red Dead 1 that are abandoned in the new one, or the whole town is sick and everybody's shut in their houses and stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff. Thieves Landing, which is like another one of my favorite locations from Red Dead Redemption, is like overtaken by bandits, and it's like, man, if you roll into that town, you get obliterated because there's so many of them. So it was just cool to travel through that and see all the, what has changed. I guess technically
unchanged.
Redemption, Redemption is after. So what changed in Redemption versus where it's at now?
Yeah. No, story wise, it's just so good, and I just love the narrative where it's just like the end of an era, and even just the way life probably was. Like it checks out by me. Like it all makes sense.
Yeah. It's a cool game, man.
Just
such a cool game.
So cool. I'll have to figure out what. I don't know. I wish there's probably a way to see which missions weren't completed, because I would be interested in redoing the story and like doing things differently. Or I'm pretty sure I hit most of the things along the way.
Yeah. Did you hit up any poker? I spent a good portion of my playthrough playing poker, bro. Good portion.
Yeah. I did play a fair bit of poker. Then I found the blackjack table because I was trying to do the challenge. But like,
yeah.
I was like, dude, I have the requirement there. I was like, no, that ain't not in blackjack. That's just way too much.
Right. Yeah, I remember trying to knock that out, because is there like an armor, or I keep calling it armor, but is there like
there's a gambler's
is that what it is? It gives you something. I can't remember what it was, and I was trying to knock it out. But dude, I think is it Valentine is like the main kind of town?
Yeah.
Where like the horse stable and the poker.
Yep.
Dude, spent a lot of time in that freaking bar playing poker, because it's just so cool feeling. You feel like you're a freaking cowboy, dude. It's so cool.
That's the cowboy town for sure. And then Strawberry's like the kind of like in the mountain town.
Yeah.
And then the Rhodes one is more of like the southern like ranch town. Obviously you have the city and stuff, and then you have the like mining hillbilly town.
In real desperate need of a PS5 patch. Desperate need, because I would love to revisit that. It actually might be a good time after Tears, because Tears runs at like 20 FPS. It wouldn't be that hard of an adjustment to go back. So
right.
Yeah, we'll see. You're making me want to play it again, because it's a great game.
Yeah, I'm excited to like finish it out. I'm happy I got through the main story just to see how Arthur panned out.
Yeah.
Like that guy.
Yeah. Okay. Dad, our time to shine, bud. We're going to talk about Tears of the Kingdom a little bit here.
Yes, a little bit.
I should preface this by saying that we're not necessarily going to talk about spoilers. It might happen. I'm not going to talk about any spoilers. I've done very little story stuff, so I don't even know if I could talk about story spoilers.
Seems like there's enough to talk about that game and not even talk about story.
There is. I mean,
There's
the story is such a small part of it. Like I've played, I don't know. My Switch says that I've played 80 hours, which seems impossible, but I have been playing a lot of it. I think what it's doing is counting all of our gameplay and combining them on all three Switches. I think that's because it's on the same count, same profile.
My family, me and my sons have played 80 hours.
8 hours.
Dude, we've played quite a lot. So yeah, if you want to go into it spoiler free, maybe leave. Probably won't happen, but just to be safe,
it won't happen for me.
Oh man,
Dad,
I missed this Joe Cross joke. Arthur was hacking so much you would think he was Mike.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, such a good one. Yeah. Dad, you bought a Switch specifically for this game.
That
Is
was
that correct?
A big reason. Yes.
Big reason. Okay.
A really big reason.
Only
really
reason.
Big reason. So tell me,
by all stretch.
an OLED too.
Yes,
Yeah,
yep.
lucky. You're so lucky.
With the logo and the design of Zelda on the Switch.
Oh, you got the Zelda one?
Yeah. I did.
Oh, so
it's-
jealous,
You never
dude.
played the first one, did you?
I did not.
Oh,
Dude,
so that's
even
I
more
do want to
insane.
talk about that a little bit.
right.
But tell me, just first impression wise, how you feeling on Zelda?
I love it. It's been a while since I played a Zelda game. But my first revisit to Zelda, I'm very happy with my experience so far. My only gripe is the way he frickin' runs. It drives me crazy.
Oh, I love it.
It's clunky, but I mean, I get it because he's wearing all that crap. You know, you get a boulder attached to your shield, you're not going to be running smooth, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I love it, dude. I think it's adorable the way he runs because he's got like the little sweat coming out. He's like really working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious because so I played a lot of Breath of the Wild. Can't remember if I dropped it in Discord, but the time clock on my Switch says like, what did it say? Like something absurd, like 700 hours or something.
Oh,
Now
wow.
again, that's counting all three of us, I'm sure. But still an absurd amount of time in that game. And
Yeah.
this game took 6 years, I think.
Okay.
It's the same map. Okay. Same exact map.
Reused asset trash.
Reused assets. Same map, same music in a lot of the places. There's a lot of new stuff.
That's what I've heard.
I don't want to make it sound, but my concern going into this game was that it was going to feel like glorified DLC for Breath of the Wild, right? Where they were just adding some stuff in. It is radically different, and it's radically different for specific reasons. All the locations that are the same are totally different because of everything that's happened in the story. So there's a lot going on in the world that was not happening before. There's a new section of the map, which are the Sky Islands, which is where you kind of start the game at. Yeah. And it's been shown in the trailer a lot. They're islands in the sky. There's another location in the game that was kept completely hidden, and I'm not going to talk anything about it. And it's freaking massive. The exact same size as the whole map.
What?
Okay? The whole another section of the map that's the exact same size as the whole map.
That's
You'll
awesome.
get to it when we talk full spoilers. We can talk about that. Nintendo did one hell of a job hiding that simple fact that there is this giant part of the map that they never talked about. They just talked about the Sky Islands, which really isn't that big if you look at the map of the Sky Islands.
Is it the same as like the really big portion of the map from the first one that's kind of like hidden?
It is the exact same size as that portion of the map.
But it's not that. So there's the map, there's that, the new
There is the Sky Island. There is the Sky Island, the regular Breath of the Wild map, and then this unnamed location. Wow. And the way I want so badly to talk about it because the way that they do it is very old school gaming, and we'll talk about it when we talk about full spoilers. I love the way that they did it. The other reason that it feels so radically different is the skills that you had in Breath of the Wild are no longer there, and they're replaced with totally different skills, which totally changed the game. And I'm sure you've seen videos of people building crazy stuff. There's a big element of building in this. Yes. That's one of the skills. There's just a lot of all the skills make the game feel totally different, dude. I don't know how to explain it. Like it does not play like Breath of the Wild, even though it
looks exactly like it.
Looks exactly like it. And you could essentially play it like Breath of the Wild if you wanted to, combat wise. But there's just with the fuse ability, which allows you to fuse all kinds of different crap to your weapon. Dad kind of hinted at that with the boulder on the. I mean, you could fuse anything to anything, to my knowledge. So you could have crazy. You could have crazy stuff.
Sandbox RPGs.
It is the Breath of the Wild was the best sandbox that I've ever played. This triples that probably. Like this is just the best world to get lost in, dude. Like there's fast travel in the game. Don't use it because that's where the magic happens is en route to locations, right?
Oh yeah.
And I have played like I said, if I had to venture to guess, it's probably like 30 hours of this game. I haven't even touched the story. I've done no story content whatsoever.
Joe says he feels like it would be hard to go back to Breath of the Wild after playing this. You think that's true?
Absolutely. And the reason I think that's true is because it makes Breath of the Wild feel like what it is, the first entry of the series, right? Very basic. Yeah, very, very basic. But that being said, Dad, if I knew that you didn't play Breath of the Wild, I probably would have recommended that you went and played Breath of the Wild first.
Nerd.
But that being said, I think you're fine. This game has got more than enough for you to justify buying a Switch, I think.
There should be just a Breath of the Wild mode.
Yeah.
He just switches back.
That's the secret map.
That's the secret map. Game. Yeah. I just think you're gonna, much like I said with Red Dead on Nick, I think you're gonna be missing some of the stuff from Breath of the Wild, where you like get to the location that was awesome in Breath of the Wild, and now it's chaos in Tears of the Kingdom. There is now, people know that I'm like a maniac when I play my games, and I like to like chill and play. So there is always a location on the map that is like a beach town. And I would always go on like vacation if I was like just wanted to relax. I'd go there, take all my gear off, and like swim around and catch fish and do the little side quests there. That place is taken over by pirates. You can't even do it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like it hit me in my soul that my vacation spot,
your vacation home's gone.
It's gone and it's destroyed. Like it's totally gone.
Wow.
So just little things like that where you're playing and you're like, oh man, this was so cool in Breath of the Wild, and now it sucks here, you know?
I hate this place.
Yeah. What was the last Zelda game that you played?
Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask. Oh wow, geez. Okay. Nick, have you played any Zelda games?
Nope.
Never a single Zelda game in your life. Interesting.
No, I couldn't tell you anything about Zelda.
I'm gonna get probably some hate for this. The first Zelda game that I beat was Breath of the Wild.
Oh.
I've played Ocarina of Time. I've played Majora's Mask. I didn't have a 64 growing up, so I didn't really have access to play it when I was younger. I tried to go back and play it after Breath of the Wild. Obviously, that's very challenging to do, to go back to those, late 90s games.
Whoa, Majora's Mask is old school.
It is.
Very. Yeah, very, very old school. So for my money, I have played Wind Waker. Let me rephrase that. I have played Wind Waker. But for my money, this is the pinnacle of Zelda. Like, this is what they should be doing for the foreseeable future. I think it's just the freedom that you get in the game that makes it so good. Like in Breath of the Wild, when you get off the tutorial island in Breath of the Wild, you can go straight to the main boss and beat it.
Yeah.
You're going to get your ass kicked, but it can be done.
You can try.
It can be done. Yeah, you can try. So there's very, very little direction. And I think maybe Bio didn't like that very much in Breath of the Wild. He likes the more focused stuff, but there's no direction in this either, really. It's just go, here's the world.
There's a little bit from those machines that kind of like help you with certain tasks or whatever.
Yeah. But I think that you're really doing yourself a disservice if you beeline the story in this game. You should not be doing, in my personal, like I said, I haven't even touched the story yet. I've done side quests, right? But main objective story, nothing. Both of my boys have beat the first dungeon, but I haven't even got there yet, dude. Like, there's so much going on that it's just so easy to get sidetracked. Like, I've gone to go do the first dungeon like probably 20 times, bro, and I never make it because I get sidetracked with a side quest, or I find a piece of armor and I'm like, I want to find the rest of that armor. Or I find, a camp that I got to take. There's so much in this game, dude, that it's just like, it's incredible that it's running on the Switch.
Right.
B, in my experience, it's running damn good on the Switch. Now, granted, it's only 30 FPS drops here and there, but you're not getting high performance when you buy Nintendo games. You know that going into it. You're not going to get the greatest graphical fidelity, right?
Yeah.
You know that going in, and that's really part of the charm of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is they look like crap, but they're so charming because of that. You know what I mean?
They're not like innovative by
Yeah.
any means,
Yeah.
but the way that they do it though, they've got their own, spin on it. And it's appealing. It looks amazing and it's fun.
It's very fun, dude.
And I feel like,
is this a new timeline for Zelda? Like, did they reboot the timeline, or is it
So-
story-wise?
Yeah. So the timeline of Zelda is very, very complicated
It
because
is.
because to my knowledge, Link, who's up here in the corner, is not a character that's in all the games. There is a Link in all the games, but it's not the same character. To my knowledge, Zelda, the princess, is also the same way, where the royalty in this world, they just name their daughters Zelda. That's what they do. So they're different Zelda. So I think it's a totally different timeline, totally different.
Gotcha.
But
the wiki here is like the unified timeline, the child timeline, the fallen hero timeline, the
Yep.
adult timeline, and there's the Breath of the Wild timeline.
Yeah. And this is firmly, obviously, in the Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild timeline.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the same characters. So I lost my train of thought where I was going. Go ahead, Dad. Talk to me. I'm talking a lot.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, I mean, different timelines. I love the combat. The combat's so much
Dude,
fun.
it's so good. Yeah, man.
It's challenging. You know, you got to really think about it. You got to be tactful about it. I love like attaching the I don't know what they are, but they're the fire things that you can attach to your bow.
Yeah.
I just got to the snow mountain just right before the snow shrine. You gotta like make a fire so you don't freeze to death. It's just so cool. All the stuff you gotta like really think about and do. Like you can't swim forever. You know, there's a stamina bar. You know, it's just really, really good.
It's
like they put so much thought into this, and I imagine it was obviously the same way in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it really was. Breath of the Wild was the best, and I think Ghost of Tsushima did this really well as well. Not as good as Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild was like the best discovery game of all time, where you would just like travel and discover awesome shit to do.
Yeah,
and I think Tears of the Kingdom is elevating that highly because there's so much more shit to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That when you're finding it, Breath of the Wild, I think a lot of people said felt empty. I didn't get that at all. I don't know what game they were playing. I didn't think it felt empty in any capacity. I haven't heard that for Tears. I can't imagine you can make that argument for Tears. There is so much to do in this game, dude. I've played 30, 40 hours of it, and I haven't touched the story at all. You know what I mean? I have no idea how the story might be another 40 hours. I have no idea.
Right.
So, the other thing that I love about it is, and I talked about it a little bit. This map is just massive, dude. You can find massive caves in here that are bigger than some of the biggest things in most of the modern games that we play. The location I was talking about earlier is huge, absolutely breathtakingly huge.
Yeah.
So, I just like the more it's becoming increasingly more difficult to pull myself away from this game to do other things. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, that I was joking in Discord the other day about taking my Switch to work with me.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
it's so much fun to play this game. Like I've played it on the handheld. I put it on the TV. You know, it looks great on the TV.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you know, you were talking about the different places. The navigation and like how you get to different places is really fun and really cool, creative. Attaching things to mine carts to go across rails to another island, you know, it's just
the building stuff. And I think that's what makes it feel so different from Breath of the Wild is the building stuff. Because in Breath of the Wild, you had running and a horse basically to get where you're going. Yeah. You have infinite possibilities in this game. You do have running in the horse, but you also have, I mean, you can build a car, you can build a flying machine. There's people building like freaking helicopters and big mechs and all kinds of stuff. So the possibilities are really endless in this game. This game is probably going to be played for the next 10, 15 years. Yeah. Like Breath of the Wild was.
I can see that. I think with the new tech that they introduced to this just really blew it up. Like,
oh, for sure,
all the stuff you can do. Like I'm glad Link lost his arm. You know, he can do a lot of cool stuff.
He could do a lot of cool stuff with that. Yeah. And the other thing is like the fusing of the weapons, like the arrow stuff, for example. You can fuse a ton of stuff. Any item really in the game you can fuse to your weapon. That was not in Breath of the Wild. So I think that makes it feel radically different. In Breath of the Wild, you had like bomb arrows, ice arrows, fire arrows, lightning arrows, and something else I'm forgetting. And here you have infinite possibilities. You do have all that stuff. You can find bomb flowers and fire flowers and all kinds of stuff. But you have,
you can combine different things.
You can combine all different things, dude. Yeah. And I will say, for anybody that's playing the game, focus on getting stamina. So when you do the shrines in the game, you get I can't remember what they call them in this game because they're different, but you get something for completing a shrine. When you get 4 of those, you can go to a statue and trade it in for a heart or a stamina piece of stamina. Focus on stamina. That's all I
Yeah.
focus on. I'm still playing 40 hours into the game and I only have 5 hearts, but I have 3 stamina wheels.
Wow.
Stamina is really important in this game. I don't want to spoil anything. Get your stamina up. It's very, very important.
yeah,
And you're going to be
'cause-
happy for it. Trust me.
Because when you start out, it doesn't last very long.
No, it doesn't.
You
And
run
it's-
for like 3 seconds and you're out of breath.
And it makes it very, very difficult to explore the world the way you want to with that stamina wheel.
Especially
so
with
get
climbing.
That up. Yes,
Yeah.
especially with climbing. Now you're going to get stuff later that's going to help with that, different gear sets that will help with that. But focus on your stamina because you can get something very, very important and very, very cool for getting your stamina up. I'm not going to spoil anything. You'll get there eventually, I'm sure.
Noted.
And I also want to talk, it's been really cool to play. I don't think that we've ever done this where me and both boys are playing the same game at the same time.
Oh, really?
And Roman loves, like, Breath of the Wild was his jam. So I told you, like, he was super excited, didn't even care it was the last day of school,
Right.
Jumped off the bus, let's go get Tears of the Kingdom. He was watching the trailers every day. I mean, he was super amped for this game. So he's been like my playing buddy. If I'm playing, he's laying right next to me playing, and we're figuring stuff out together. And he's telling me, oh, I found this here, and you can go here and do this. If I have a question, anything I've asked this kid, he has an answer for. I'm like, how do you figure this stuff out so quickly? He's like, I just know. He found a duplication method where you can duplicate items.
Yeah.
And I had found one and showed him, but mine only allowed you to duplicate 1 item at a time. His allows you to do 5 at a time. So
it's
it's
like
like
a real thing.
It's a glitch. It's a glitch. Yeah. Wildly more effective. So he shows me and I'm like, dude, this is like crazy effective. Like I went from like 5 diamonds to like 100 in like 15, 20 minutes of duplicating. You know what I mean? Now, would I recommend it? Probably not, because it really does kind of break the game. You know what I mean? I'm doing it for a specific reason. I cannot stand, and I couldn't stand it in Breath of the Wild, I can't stand the weapon durability in this game.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Freaking stand it. It was significantly worse in Breath of the Wild. You would find like a cool broadsword and it breaks in 3 hits. And you're like, what the? Like, okay.
And it depends on what you hit. Yeah, yeah.
And it depends what you hit. Yeah. In this game, with fusion, you can amplify that a lot more. So you can find a cool broadsword, fuse something cool to it, and get way more durability and attack out of it. So it does alleviate some of that stress. It doesn't get rid of it like I was hoping they would for the sequel. So if I'm going to knock the sequel for anything at all, it's going to be the weapon durability that everybody hated.
Why is it so low?
I think here's what it is. They want you to experiment. This game's all about experimenting with weapons and fusions and all this stuff. So they don't want you to just find this specific sword that lasts forever and forget everything else that you can do, because it would really probably lower the game a little bit, because that's kind of the fun thing where you break your last weapon and you got to run around and find a stick and fuse it to a box or whatever you have. So
yeah,
I mean,
it's super cool that, you know, obviously they've had a great follow-up to a very great game. But also, there's an article I read. I mean, it's based in some, I get the point. Like, they're like, Tears of the King made me completely rethink, right, how video games can be designed. And it basically was saying, like, all the puzzles, like, there's no one single solution to solve the puzzle. Right. And I get that knock and, like, why that's really great. But I was like, there's other game genres that, you know, there's more than one way to play the game, but I get it for like RPGs like this. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's the freedom, I think, here that makes it feel radically different. Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that they found a way to have a sequel, but not just add landmass, right? Like it's not all about just surface area to, you know, have another game. Like, just you can reuse the same map, it's the same world, just things have changed, and it's a different mechanical game. So like I'll see, like, they're focusing less on like, oh, we need a whole new map, all new assets, blah blah blah. keep all that the same. Focus on the mechanics of the game making it different. So you don't drive on a different road to get to work every day. You drive a different vehicle. Like ride a motorcycle one day, drive a truck the next.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I was very concerned about the map being the same going into this game. I've never played a game, to my knowledge, where the map is the same game to game. You know what I mean? I assume Spider-Man's going to be that in some capacity, and it was in Spider-Man and Miles.
Yeah.
But you know,
New York again.
Looking at this, that was like a 1 to 2 year development cycle from Spider-Man to Miles. This was a 6-year development cycle. So I'm like, what the hell have they been doing for 6 years if they reuse the exact same map? I now know what the hell they've been doing for 6 years.
I mean, they essentially have 3.
Yeah, they've added a crap ton into this game, dude. It does not feel the same. It doesn't play the same, even though the map is the same. I'm kind of like now leaning towards maybe more developers should do this because I'm sure it saved a lot of time probably developing a whole new freaking map, right?
Yeah.
But it's cool if you're coming from the original game to this and seeing how everything has changed. You know what I mean? How you can interact with everything in the world differently.
I would compare that to Ocarina of Time when you go to the Temple of Time and you go to the future and become an adult Link and everything. It's the same place, but it's totally changed.
Right.
Like it's all the same. Right. So I kind of compare it to this a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you've got the similar area, but so much has changed. So much time has passed or whatever.
Yeah. It's definitely cool, man. I think, Jedi Survivor was my front runner for Game of the Year. This has demolished it. Absolutely demolished it to the point where I can't even tell you anything about Jedi Survivor. I've forgotten pretty much. I beat it, spent probably 30 hours playing that, 40 hours playing that game. Can't even tell you anything about it.
You finished it though. That's what's
I did finish it. I did. So the original intention was not to get this game. I was going to wait. Roman was going to play it first, and then I was going to play it, and Brady was going to play it.
No, but then all playing it together.
Yeah, as we were getting closer to release, I'm like, dude, I've been waiting for this game for 6 years. Like, I'm not waiting another day. So I just knocked out Jedi Survivor, and like one day I was like, I'm just gonna beeline the story, finish this, so get this out of the way. And I'm glad I did, dude, because I think I dropped it in our text, not in Discord. We had like a Zelda sleepover, up in my bedroom, and I decked out the whole room and all our Zelda stuff and had like snacks for them. And we played from 7 till the boys fell asleep in my bed like 2:00 in the morning. I fell asleep at like 3. It was so cool, dude. And we're going to do it again. It's just cool to be playing the same game with them. You know?
Yeah. So my older son, Patrick, he was with me when I got this. Well, I got him after I got the Switch, but he was playing it before I got to, which I was kind of salty about because he opened it up, got to play it first. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But similar situation, like we're both kind of into it. Well, I'm definitely into it, but he likes it. Kind of thinks the controls are weird. I mean, Nintendo controls are a little weird.
Let me stop you there. If you swap the run and the jump button, which is an option in the menu, do that, adjust to it, you'll be way better off. It.
I mean, that's the way I'm used to playing Zelda games because it's like always been that way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too weird for me.
Buy it.
But he was like, it's so awkward, so weird. Because it should be the bottom button.
Right. Yeah, you can swap it in the menu. I do it every time. I did it on Breath of the Wild. Yeah, it's mandatory in my eyes, at least.
I'll probably try that.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to run and then you jump and it's just...
it's a pain.
It's weird.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to play it, man.
Dude.
I hope you stick with it because there's just so much. There's so much that you haven't discovered yet, and I'm so excited I can't wait to talk about the one thing I want to talk about. It's ripping my hair out. We are going to do for our Patreon episode this month. I'm going to sit down with both boys and we're going to talk first impressions, Tears of the Kingdom. We'll probably talk about that. So if you want to know what it is, go to Patreon and you can maybe hear it.
Sweet.
We're definitely going to talk. You have to talk about it, I think. But I can't do it right here because I don't want to spoil it for Dad because it's a cool discovery. It's a cool discovery.
I appreciate that. Sweet. And I mean, I love the most of the Zelda stories. I think they do them pretty well. So I'm anxious to see what they've got in store with this game.
Yeah.
And see where they go.
You know, with the first couple trailers they showed for this game, it looked like Breath of the Wild had like, I don't want to say it was like an Elden Ring story where it's like kind of the background, where it's like the world is really the story, right?
Mhm.
And the stuff that the quests that you're doing in it, not necessarily a main story. It's there, but very little.
Right.
And the first couple trailers that they showed for this, I was like, it looks like they're leaning more on the building and the freedom versus the story. And then they dropped the like launch trailer, which was the story trailer, and I was like, okay, never mind. they're amping up the story for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait, dude. I can't wait to see where the story goes. I've been very patient. You know, there's towers to unlock. I did all the towers. That drives me nuts in games. It's always the first thing I do. If there's fog of war on the map, I'm clearing that crap first because I can't stand it.
Right.
So I went and did that. Did a couple other things that were mandatory, kind of help with the weapon durability issue that I have with the game. Because you can get an item very early on in this game that you couldn't get very early on in Breath of the Wild, which kind of negates the weapon durability a little bit. You're still dealing with it a little bit, but
yeah,
it helps for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Whew.
All right, I'm gonna go play it right now.
Yeah. Like, let's wrap up, man. We got Hyrule to save.
Yeah, that's the last of
Nick,
it.
I really think that you and Mike would totally be into these. You don't have a Switch, but I think Mike would totally be into
I
this
keep
game.
telling him he should. He needs.
Dude, he would be all over it.
He would love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the better Pokemon, obviously.
Yeah, by a mile.
I think he's one. You know, just because it's everyone else's hype on it, just staying away from it. But also, I think he knows he would never probably put it down.
Oh no,
it's hard.
He'd be stuck and addicted, and
yeah,
he'd lose his family, and he would just be like by the trash can playing.
Yeah, play Tears. Yeah.
Or do you even need Wi-Fi to play? Can you just play? He sees a power outlet. He's just gonna like splice into like
somewhere
a power
to charge
pole
it.
And just...
Yeah. Yeah, I had to put it on the TV, Dad. I played a little bit on the TV. I made the mistake, unfortunately, and this kind of sucks. I wasn't paying attention when I started the game, and I started the game on Brady's Switch, not my Switch. And the thing about that sucks is all your horses from Breath of the Wild transfer to Tears of the Kingdom. So I had like the best horses and horses I was really attached to in Breath of the Wild, and he has them, which really bums me out. And then he's got ones that are like named crazy names and they don't have capital letters for the first letter. It's like absolutely driving me bonkers. I've eliminated them now. I've gotten rid of all of them.
Back and shot them.
Yeah. There's the best horse. Well, one of the best horses in Breath of the Wild was Zelda's white horse that you could find like out in the world. That was the one I used for all of Breath of the Wild. And I didn't have it, and to my knowledge, it's not in Tears of the Kingdom. And I was so I played like 20 hours without this horse, and then found out that it was in there. So I went and got it. So I'm like happier now that I've got Storm, which is Zelda's horse. I'm like, okay, it looks the same. I got it styled the same saddle.
Why would you start on his Switch? Like, what's wrong with you?
So I just wasn't paying attention. My Switch actually has the Sheikah Slate sticker on the back from Breath of the Wild, and I just wasn't paying attention. Our Switches have been like stowed away for years at this point, and I got it out, and he was using my Joy-Cons, so I just assumed it was my Switch, and it wasn't.
An honest mistake. Yes.
Yeah.
On your part, not his.
On your part, yes.
Your Joy-Cons.
Right. Exactly.
Come on, dude.
What's wrong with
crap
you?
Together.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Yeah, that was a good time. Hit all the important topics. Big time. The only throwback was Red Dead because I take a long time to play games, but
yeah,
a little bit of throwback in there. You guys got anything else?
Go buy Tears now.
Yes,
go buy Tears.
If you're thinking about it, do it.
I'm gonna open this Switch that we're giving away
and play Tears on it.
I'm gonna play Tears. Repackage it up nicely. Wipe all the smudges off of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
All the tears. Yeah, thanks for tuning everybody. Yak, thanks for the subs. Joe, enjoy the rest of your evening working. Sorry. But yeah, everyone, have a great night. Subscribe if you haven't already. Join the Discord if you want to hang out with a bunch of nerds. And yeah, trying to give away this Switch. Let's get to 1,000, boys. All right.
Yes.
Have a good night. As soon as I find our song. I was really impressed that we made it the whole episode without saying how much better of an episode without Mike it was. Usually we open with that,
Yeah.
but made it all the
we
way to
did.
the end.
Yeah.
So you're
No
welcome,
throat
Mike.
clears. So
No throat-
nice.
That's why it's nicer.